Thank you very much, Madam Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. First and foremost, thank you, ESCAP, for having me in today's session. It truly is a shame that we're not able to convene in person, but I'm truly honored and grateful to be a part of such a distinguished panel. My name is Dyah Roro Esti, and I'm currently a member of Commission 7 at the Indonesian Parliament, which basically oversees the energy, environment, research and technology sectors. I'm also the Secretary of the Green Economy Caucus at the Indonesian Parliament, which seeks to create a sustainable future for Indonesia through policymaking, and also a member of Air Quality Asia. And so with that being said, and of course in light of today's topic, I'd like to shed some attention to the current pandemic that we are faced with today, focusing primarily on how that's impacted economic growth, the lives of communities, and also overall energy demand, with the steps required to basically just move forward, right? And as we know, the coronavirus or COVID-19 has spurred both a global health and also economic crisis. Up to date, there are nearly 5 million cases with more than 300,000 deaths globally. And quite frankly, this is a very frightening reality to be faced with. And given our current economic condition, we also see that the poorest is being hit the hardest, right? And the World Bank projects that at least 11 million people across East Asia and the Pacific falling into poverty, even under the most optimistic scenario, right? And it's also led to an increase in community marginalization due to the increase of income divide. And I've also read a report recently by the UNDP on the social and economic impact of COVID-19. And quite frankly, we also see it on a daily basis, whether it be in Indonesia or countries across Asia or even around the world, where it argues that the pandemic is causing massive job and income losses and has affected quite substantially people working in the informal sector, accounting for 1.3 billion people in Asia and also the Pacific, right? And so this pandemic, on hindsight, has also affected energy accessibilities in several ways. So many power plants constructions are put on halt due to determination on construction activities and also supply chain systems. For example, in Indonesia, the National Electricity Company has stopped or delayed many power plant projects as a result. However, the good news is that one thing we learned about the pandemic is that humans are very adaptive creatures, particularly in situations where we are forced to adapt, right? And for example, things like simple things like having to work from home, which has forced us to optimize on technology and has forced us to really just turn our homes into comfortable working spaces. And for me personally, this was a little difficult because, you know, I used to try my best to not focus on work at home. So really just having a good work and life balance. But with that being said, you know, now we are forced to be able to manage both in the comfort of our own home. So it's in a way also, it's caused us to slow down from a fast-paced, always moving way of life. And that gives you a whole different perspective on life in general. So these are just some of the social benefits that, that comes with it. And this innate ability to adapt, in my opinion, should be further applied after the pandemic subsides, right? Particularly in translating the Sustainable Development Goals into reality under the premise that we can no longer survive and continue to use the business as usual approach when it comes to achieving sustainable development. Economic growth in this regard must be achieved by also taking into account both the social and also the environmental factors. And as the global economy starts to heal itself post-pandemic, we're expecting to see an increase in economic activity and also economic growth, with the hopes that this will also lift people out of poverty, which in turn increases energy and electricity demand globally, right? And the optimal outcome in this scenario is really just for us to be able to shift the national energy mix of nations across the Asia, and the Pacific region or around the world, which in this case is primarily at the moment dominated by fossil fuel to more sustainable sources or measures, right? So for example, we can attempt to make fossil fuel more environmentally friendly through processes like whole gasification or liquidification, but also more optimally opting for renewable energy, right? And so the implementation of renewable energy needs to be heavily supported by regulation. And so political will from nations across the globe, is very crucial. And as we know, 183 countries have ratified the Paris Agreement, or the COP21 Paris Agreement, which has been translated into the nationally determined contributions. Indonesia has also ratified this agreement, and we have a goal, particularly in the energy sector, of achieving 23% renewable energy by 2025. And as of 2020, Indonesia, we're currently at 9.15%, where fossil fuel is still, dominating. And also the electricity generation capacity from renewables, right now we're still at 12.2%, or accounting to 10,169 megawatt. And with that in mind, countries should start optimizing on the comparative advantage in which regions have when it comes to renewable energy generation, right? So in Indonesia, just to update, we have successfully included the renewable energy law or policy through Commission 7 at the Indonesian Parliament, and it's become one of the priorities. And we hope that this will speed up renewable energy generation in the region. And as I said, political will is very essential to get things done. And also this will hopefully pave way for job creation in the sector. And lastly, I'd like to kind of just end my speech and my intervention by sharing something that I've learned, which has really just shaped the way that I view the world and approach problems faced at the national and also global level. So when I was in college, I studied at Imperial College London at the Center of Environmental Policy. And I remember constantly being bombarded with the idea that, a multidisciplinary approach needs to be taken in tackling a global problem such as climate change. And it's made me realize that essentially this is a team effort. And as long as we are able to get everyone from all sectors on board with a particular mission, we will be able to achieve things at a much faster rate. And so this applies for anything, whether it be moving from the, moving away from the pandemic, or how to survive in moments of crisis, to even climate action and renewable energy optimization. And we have a saying in Indonesia, and it's called gotong royong, which means essentially working together side by side in order to achieve incredible results, whatever that may be. In mind, the government, CSOs, academias, private and public sectors, the youth, everybody has a role to play, and everybody's homework here is to really just figure out what your role is in the change you wish to see in the world. And it's in this very essence of gotong royong will we be able to survive and reap optimal results going forward.